Skrill boys, TGG and vids. Oh yeah. Oh, oh. You always catch me in my playtime when I do these intros. But anyways, welcome back to Skrill Boys TGM Vids. And today, as you saw by the title of the video, we are diving into a controversial subject topic. So, cutting the Smash roster. Yeah. Disclaimer. I might piss some people off. So, and these are just my personal picks and also just trying to go off of logic. So, yeah. Okay, but anyways, what about like a um, what, now what about the Smash roster that needs cutting? Well, let's go back in the past. So, when Smash was originated in circa 99, there were originally 12 fighters. And this grew into 26 in the next game, Melee. Of course, Melee, the, the period from 64's release to Melee's release is the only time that characters weren't cut. However, from Melee to Brawl, Brawl to Smash 4, cuts became the norm. Of course, when Smash Ultimate was announced, when it was unnamed, people just thought that it was going to make the cuts even easier, considering of Smash 4's questionable character choices. Of course, to the surprise of everybody, everyone returned. It was sort of a celebration of the history of Smash Ultimate, of well, the Smash series, but it came at a hefty sacrifice. Characters did come back, but new characters, and when I mean by that, I mean by characters that have original move lists, were only were only relegated to 6 new fighters in the base roster. The rest were just Echo fighters that no one really cared about. And then the DLC came around and there were 12 fighters introduced in there, making up a bulk of the of the Ross of the Ultimate character choices. But now that Ultimate has ended, a long time ago I might add, with Sora as the final character, that has led to people speculating of what the next Smash game could be. Would it cut the roster? Would it um, add upon what Ultimate had? Ultimately, people have gone with the former choice, cutting the roster down back to size. And honestly, I've taken this approach. There is no realistic way that they will have this many characters in Ultimate, in Ultimate's successor. So, before we get into the carnage, why don't you do me solid and hit that subscribe button? While you're at it, like the video, maybe share it with a friend or someone, and also comment down below how you would cut this roster down to size. But anyways, let's get into the nitty gritty of this, the rules. So the rules are, um, rule number 1: relevancy is irrelevant. It doesn't matter if they haven't appeared in their franchise for a long time or their franchise has been dormant for a long time. They are still on the table. So, characters that don't have franchises active anymore or the character doesn't appear in that franchise anymore or as often as he does, well, he or she does, that doesn't really matter. Well, at least in some cases. Rule number 2. Um, echoes are an immediate cut. I was on the I was on the edge on whether echoes counted as the same fighter as their basis, but then that'd be interfering with uh my other rules, which I'll get into a bit later. Um oh yes. And rule number 3, if a character is not suited to be in the game, meaning that they don't have any real big picture thing, meaning they meaning that this game is going to be a celebration of gaming, considering that's what Smash has evolved into. If they don't have any significance in gaming or just like the scumbag like flavor of the week character, then yeah, um, uh, they're out. And rule number 4, which is the most important rule that I will never ever break, is that the original 12 Mario, Donkey Kong, Link, Samus, Yoshi, Kirby, Fox, Pikachu, Luigi, Ness, Captain Falcon, and Jigglypuff will not be cut. And of course, I didn't want to make this too easy on myself, and of course, cut Jigglypuff immediately. So, sorry, we're keeping her. And yeah, I would say have fun as the final rule, but this kind of just doesn't feel like fun. Most of these were painful. But there are a few things that also need to be addressed here. Also, yeah, there are different kinds of ways we can cut characters. There's a full cut, a two-thirds cut, which really only applies to one character, and a questionable. A questionable is that there are many circumstances for them coming back, but also many for the opposite, them being, well, cut. And the main goal at the end of the video is to have a roster, uh, a, a cut roster of around 50 characters. And you may see later on that I might have a little bit of an exception later on. Uh, Anyways, let the carnage begin, starting with the Mario series. Little side note, each each cut I will be doing will be in the order of when the series joined Smash. Basically, when the first character in that series joined Smash. So, of course, we logically start with Mario, and we're gonna talk about Echoes later. But I feel like these are the two easiest cuts in the history of cuts. Now, of course, Dr. Mario, you don't have to scrap him entirely. You could just make him a skin for Mario, basically pulling a Project M, and it'd be kind of like the Koopalings for BJ Bowser Jr. and like they have different animations and mechanics. So that way we're not inherently getting rid of a fighter, but we are getting rid of of an important character slot. Piranha Plant was a joke character for all intents and purposes, so yeah. Um yeah, he gone. And yeah, that just shows how this is going to be hard, and some of these cuts I kind of regret in hindsight. You'll see why later. But next up is the Donkey Kong series, and this is where I actually have no characters cut. DK, Diddy, and K. Rool feel like a fitting representation, and plus, it only has 3 characters. And like that's kind of another one of the rules I have. If the franchise has less than 3, has like a bare minimum of around 4 to 3 characters, I'm not gonna cut any of them. That's a rule I forgot to mention. But of course, sacrifices will have to be made. So for The Legend of Zelda, I feel like this is another easy one to do. As much as you could like rework these two little munchkins, yeah, Young Link is kind of more hard is from the most iconic Zelda game, while Toon Link's from the most controversial Zelda game, that being Wind Waker. No offense to Wind Waker fans, but yeah, it's kind of funny how Toon Link replaced Young Link. And to kind of think of it, they're just the same character from a character in the series that Um, is supposed to be the main rep, but is copied 2 times. It was fun while it lasted to have 3 links, but we got to cut down 2 of them. Of course, Link, Zelda, Ganon stay in. Sheik is actually one I actually would make the argument to stay because she's from the most iconic Zelda game, but she's kind of developed her own thing. And plus, like if she gets her own game and she well and it like has a big influence on her chances in Smash, then basically yeah, I'm keeping her. And plus, you can do cool ninja stuff with her. Anyways, Metroid is actually where we get into the Echo Fighter stuff, and yeah, Dark Samus on the only condition she could come back on the only condition if she is decloned and turned into a proper fighter. Daisy, on the other hand, eradicate her off the face of the planet and just make her a skin for Peach, an alternate costume for Peach. I mean, like it kind of sounds violent that I'm saying skins. So yeah, so far 5 cuts in the roster, and we are nowhere near our target goal. So let's fix that. Zero Suit just feels like a pointless addition, and like she felt like a pointless addition in Brawl. I mean, like you could have added Rundus from Prime in Brawl, and it still would have been a serviceable Metroid rep, but y- you had to go with the stupid gimmick of like swapping. So yeah, Zero Suit is just she's just that character that yeah, I cut for the sake of cutting down the roster. Also, she is annoying and yeah. And also another thing I forgot to mention, competitive community will sort of influence my choices on how I cut these characters and how I cut these characters. Okay, so since Yoshi, I mean, like he falls into that category where he has less than 4 and 3 reps. In fact, he's the only rep in his series, so I'm not going to cut him. Plus, he's Yoshi. Kirby is the same because Kirby seriously just it needs to gain reps instead of lose reps. And yeah, now the Star Fox series it falls into the niche of it's an irrelevant series, but I kind of feel like that Miyamoto and the team are cooking up something to do with the franchise, whether that be a high fidelity remake of Star Fox 64 or possibly a sequel to Star Fox 64. But as much as it would be easy to just cut it down to one character, I feel like Falco's too iconic, but Wolf, this is a cut that was painful for me. I cannot, in good faith, imagine a Smash game without Wolf. But this is where I'd actually bring up something, and that is that once this game is done with its base roster, then it can start adding DLC characters. And Smash Four introduced the fact that veteran characters can come back. So Wolf is one of those veteran characters, and yeah, he can return just like Roy, Lucas, and Mewtwo did in Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS. The Pokemon franchise is just the easiest one in my opinion, but it came at a sacrifice for me. I hate cutting Pichu. He's too dang cute, and also I think he's kind of justified as as a semiclone, as a semiclone to Pikachu. I mean, like you could make him into an Echo Fighter in the next game, but I feel like Pichu can stand on his own. So, like Wolf, I would bring him back in veteran DLC. And you know who we're not bringing back? Uh, this is actually the where I use my 2/3 cut. This is frankly the only character that I use it on. Pokemon Trainer, I would cut Ivysaur and Squirtle. However, yet again, veteran DLC can you know that stuff. But I would have them be separate as their own Pokemon, but I would still have the trainer aspect into it. So Red, as he'd be affectionately called, would still be a part of Charizard, but would just be there for like visual visuals instead of a gimmick. Sort of just to, accurately portray Pokemon. Okay, and anything from Pokemon Trainer onwards just felt like it was filler, but Lucario and Greninja have become fan favorites, and it only leaves the flavor of the month character. Incineroar is just the pure product of Pokemon just wanting to have a Gen 7 rep in Ultimate. I'm sorry, people, but it was fun while it lasted. Incineroar is sadly going the way of the dodo bird. And yeah, um, Earthbound and F Zero. Yet again, I'm not cutting them. Lucas, I would view as a sort of in that questionable category, but Mother 3 fans have suffered enough, so I'll let him get a I'll let him get the get out of jail free card on this one. Um Ice Climbers is a keep because they've become iconic enough and synonymous enough with the Smash series to be justified as a retro rep. But Fire Emblem, man. Ooh, just mentioning that name makes my blood boil. Let me just do this. One, two, three, four, and oh yeah, five. The reason I cut down Fire Emblem so harshly is because that this series only needs 3 reps. Marth, I feel like, represents the series' future very brightly. Um, I mean, the series as a whole, he's the mascot of the franchise. Ignore what I said before about the future. Ike is the fan favorite, so obviously he stays because he's the fan favorite. And Robin kind of represents modern Fire Emblem in a nutshell. So I feel like if you just have these 3 characters, it represents Fire Emblem perfectly. Plus, that can give you like time to refine their move sets and make them unique from one another instead of being the same character but just with different stuff. So yeah, that's uh that's something you can do. Roy was the only one that I was hesitant about because he was iconic in Melee and still is, but he will return. And also Crom, it just kind of feels like a slap in the face, but yeah, he will have his day to shine one another time. But that time is not today because there are just too many damn Fire Emblem reps in this dang roster. Game and Watch. Before we get to Game and Watch, Corrin and Byleth were practically the most easiest characters to cut. Frankly, yeah, they were the most easiest. You want to know why? Because they were just put in the game just to promote their respective games, and yeah, Byleth is kind of evidence of that. So yeah, he getting cut, and plus I hate the character because like if you were to ask me which character to cut from Ultimate, and it would be to make the game better, I would say Byleth in a heartbeat. Yeah, yeah, I think that's pretty appropriate for how I would yeah. Anyways, bye bye Byleth. The BBB. What's the next franchise? Oh yeah, now it's Game and Watch's turn. Finally, Game and Watch stays because he, like the Ice Climbers, he's most synonymous with the Smash series now, and also he represents a crucial part of Nintendo's history. I mean, like you could say it in air quotes, but he he was one of Nintendo's first consoles, so I feel like he has that 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 I that that factor that um what's the word for it? It's like a fact. It's like a that that it's like a milestone. Like, oh, we used to make these, but now we make these big budget games, and we have this little black cartoon man to thank for it. Next series is the Kid Icarus series, and Dark Pit's an easy one. Palutena, I would say questionable, but if we're cutting for the sake of making space for the roster, yeah, she gotta go. The girl gotta go. I'm sorry, all you Palutena fans that thought that you saw love at first sight, but now you gotta let love go. Gotta let you gotta let things go. It's kind of like it's kind of like this whole message when I was doing this. Um, Wario stays. He's iconic. He is he the man. Nintendo, hire me to voice Wario, please and thank you. And Snake is actually Snake is a topic that people either cut him or they don't know what they want to do with him. I'm going to make the opinion that, well, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure there's no controversial opinion, but uh, Snake stays because he has that the same factor as Game and Watch because he's the first third-party character that was implemented into Smash, and I feel like with that alone, that justifies him staying. The only reason he was cut from Smash 4 was because of issues with Konami and I'm pretty sure if they didn't have issues, he would have totally been in Smash. I'm pretty sure he would have been in Smash 4. And Sonic, he's staying for obvious reasons. He's Sonic the gosh diddly darn hedgehog. Olimar stays because of Pikmin 4. If Pikmin 4 didn't ever get released, I would have cut him. I would have cut his am. Like, um, like I would. I would cut him. But Pikmin 4, man, wait. Now you gotta wait till Pikmin 5. That is not a a taunt a way to taunt Pikmin fans. Do not do that. This is another painful one. Rob, you may not know it, but I do generally care for this guy. But the competitive community, he's one of those characters that is annoying in the competitive community, and you'll see that later. Well, in just a couple minutes with some of the Smash 4 characters. But anyways, Animal Crossing. I feel like it should have been Isabelle instead of Villager. We can all agree on this, right? Villager just feels like the player avatar. Isabelle is the modern face of Animal Crossing, so if we are going to do this for the sake of cutting down roster, Villager is going to be the one cut because Isabelle is the one that needs to rep the franchise, to represent the franchise. I never really seen a game cut. I never really seen a Smash game cut a character from a franchise, like the first character that introduced the franchise, and just leave one of the secondary characters there. It's just something that I feel like should be done, and Animal Crossing's the prime candidate to do that. Mega Man is going to stay because, frankly, Capcom fans, it's just that the Mega Man fans, they just need, they don't need more pain. Please, Capcom, release Mega Man 12. His appearance would actually be based on Mega Man 11, so, I mean, like, but, anyways, um, We Fit, it's, I mean, like, I love myself the Nintendo Wii. I love myself a good session on the Wii. But if we gotta cut it down, and yet again, it's kind of like Byleth. Like Wii Fit is another character that I would cut in a heartbeat because it was because I can guarantee you that some of the Smash 4 characters, if Ultimate wasn't about bringing everyone back, like a majority of the Smash 4 roster would be cut due to the fans not liking them. Of course, Rosalina Luma stays because I love Mario Galaxy, so still keeping the Nintendo Wii in the house. But sadly enough, this is actually where the competitive community really comes into effect here, and also the franchise. I know I said relevancy is irrelevant, but there hasn't been a new Punch Out game since 2009, and it's almost been it's about to be 15 years since that game released. So I mean, like, I don't know why uh, Next Level Games has been sleeping on the Punch Out franchise, but I'm pretty sure a combination of his franchise not being, well, not being in the spotlight right now, and also because of the competitive community. I mean, like, yet again, I would love to bring him back. Again, that's what that character DLC is for, the veteran DLC. Of course, Greninja stays. Pac-Man, of course, stays because he's one of the first video game. I think he's the first video game mascot. Like he's the oldest. So yet again, novelty factor. That's the word I was looking for. Novelty factor. And Xenoblade series. Oh boy, I know I'm gonna get some hot stuff about this, but before, but I feel like I skipped a series. Oh wait a minute. Yeah, the Mii's are just like the gimmickiest fighters out of all of them. Basically, I would cut them and replace them with a new avatar character. You're not necessarily cutting the Mii's, but you are cutting the the Mii franchise. It's kind of weird that they just pass off as like Smash originals when they're just trying to promote the Mii franchise, which by the way has been dormant for quite some time until like the Miitopia remake. But I mean, like if you want representation from the Miitopia franchise, and like I mean, like that'd be pretty dang funny. That'd be pretty dang funny. Maybe that could be like the replacement character, like the hero, like, and it's the Miitopia logo. That'd be kind of funny. Okay, Xenoblade series. There's only one cut here that's makes sense, and yeah, a lot of people are gonna hate me for this, specifically the competitive community. But that's not deterring me. That's really not deterring me. It's not gonna deter me. It won't stop me now. It won't stop me later. Pyramithra just felt like pointless filler, like Byleth. And again, if you told me that I was cutting like a couple characters to make Ultimate's roster better, mention them in a heartbeat. And also the fact that they're Ultimate DLC, it's it's really kind of just like, are you like, yeah, they're two characters, so obviously, I mean, like, yet again, the Ice Climbers were cut for hardware limitations, and Sheik and Zelda, the only reason why they were split was because of hardware limitations of the 3DS. But yeah, considering that the next generation console is not going to have hardware limitations, you think that they would have a chance. But yet again, they have that flavor of the month type of thing, and Xenoblade game and Xenoblade 2 being a very divisive game in the community, and only a small niche of people liking this character for nefarious reasons, which I will not mention here because channel is not ready for this, and it never will be. Yeah, I feel like cutting Pyra and Mithra is yeah, it's kind of a yeah, it kind of feels like a I mean, uh, just put Noah in the game and to replace them. They feel like an easy character to cut. I feel it's just flavor of the month. But just you wait till we get to the DLC characters. Ooh, that'll be a pretty sight. But anyways, it's another painful one because like it has the same novelty factor as Game and Watch, but Duck Hunt is kind of less so. Yet again, I would love to bring him back in the veteran DLC, but yeah. Now, the Street Fighter series is actually a rare case because I'm actually keeping the Echo. Because one, that would just be reducing the Street Fighter franchise to one rep, and two, Ken is the perfect Echo fighter in every single way. You cannot convince me otherwise, but sadly, due to reasons, Cloud and Sephiroth will sadly not be in the next game. They could come back in veteran roster, but I could see them coming back as a highly likelihood, considering that Nintendo and Square are in good relations right now. But it's just for the fact that Square is so stingy with its franchises that I don't see them joining the base roster. Even though Cloud has that like iconicity to him, and Sephiroth as well. Ultimately, the company that owns them is kind of really big piece of a big piece of crap. I'm very stingy, like I mentioned. Another easy one to cut is Bayonetta. It's mostly due to the fact of her reception of being. Well, it has to do with the fact that she was the number one ballot pick when she was not. That was obviously Sora. But also the fact that she was the most broken character in Smash 4 also didn't gel well with the competitive community. And as you see with this theme here, yeah, if it weren't for Ultimates, everyone is here. She would have been cut, and yeah, yeah, it's kind of, and also considering that people don't really know Bayonetta, yeah, I could see her getting cut. Inkling, I mean, like Splatoon has shows no sign as a stopping, so yeah, they stay. And the Castlevania franchise, this is a yet again, it's kind of like Dr. Mario, where I'm not inherently cutting Richter. I'm just putting Richter as an alternate skin for Simon with like alternate voice lines. Yet again, it's a Bowser Jr. and the Koopaling situation, just so we don't have to, just so I don't have to hear it from Castlevania fans. Um, uh, yeah, this is where we actually get into the DLC for Ultimate. And I mean, let's just get straight to the cutthroat point. These two, I mean, like Joker, yet again, he kind of feels like flavor of the month, but also there was a massive fan following for him, and Sakurai loves the Persona franchise. So this could be actually one where I'm wrong, and actually could be a questionable. Could be a questionable, but I think it has to do with like, does Persona 5 have more steam in it? Steam in the tank? Because just imagine that's a question mark, because I don't know if Joker would want to is gonna come back. Hero, it's the same reason for Cloud and Sephiroth, with the corporation of Square being too stingy, but also with the Dragon Quest franchise not really being that well known outside of Japan. Yeah, I won't think many people will miss Hero, and also competitive community plays another factor into this. They really hate Hero. Banjo, on the other hand, I'm actually keeping, just for the fact that yet again, relevancy is relevant, and also there have been rumors of a new Banjo-Kazooie game or like a remaster of the trilogy, and plus their game has been ported to NSO Online. So I think that kind of means that there's a bright future for the Bear and Bird. Terry and Min Min are not so lucky. Terry was leaked before he even got revealed. And sure, he represents the the SNK Corporation as a whole. I don't think people would be all for it when he comes back. And like he got a mad reaction all because of the leak that Nintendo did themselves, by the way. And Min Min, yet again, poor timing and really just a character that I really kind of think people just didn't really want in the game because I mean like yet again you could see me as making it a questionable, but yet again it depends on whether Arms is going to be a series or it's just going to be a one note game. And but this is where we actually get to the most questionable one. Steve is actually questionable for many reasons in my opinion, but for the sole factor that Minecraft sort of has like a love-hate relationship on YouTube. So, is it if that Smash wants to keep this juggernaut to keep itself afloat, which I could see them doing just for the money. But yet again, his competitive scene is really had it out for him. So the only condition on him returning is that they rework the character significantly. Other than that, it's really questionable to see if Steve would come back. Kazuya would come back on the condition that we get some nerfs to him, but that's besides the point. But you gotta accept it, Kingdom Hearts fans. This is a one-time opportunity. Enjoy it while it lasts. Sora was sort of like the be-all, end-all for Smash. Like this would be the character that would end the Sakurai era. But Sora, in my opinion, out of all the characters in this roster, he is the least likely to come back. Like the least. On top of with the company that he's owned by, Square, being really, really stingy, you also have to get through Disney, which this could result in a buyout. So, yeah, I feel like they would save their butts by just not including Sora. And yeah, those are the cuts I would make. And just so you know, here's the final results. Jesus. Yeah, I really hope I didn't pee off anybody. But yeah. And really, this is the ideal roster, the characters I would keep. Of course, some of them would get revamped as as consolation for the many cuts I would have made. And like Mario getting more iconic stuff to him, like Link also being more inspired by Breath of the Wild and other Zelda games. Ganon finally being decloned. Samus being updated with her dread look. So many others that I wish I could mention here. But I'll get to that when I wink wink nudge nudge get to that again. But if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and like this video. It would help me a ton. And um yeah, it just really is nice to be notified. Speaking of that, why don't you share this video with your friends and your family? It would reach the notices. Well, it would basically increase my the fact that this channel exists even more. And comment down below how you would cut the Smash roster. God, I hope I didn't piss anyone off. Oh, ooh, didn't pee anyone off, but it is what it is. So, long live the Skrills. I'll see ya in the next one.